in reed making, and to ask your teacher for their advice.
Yeah, sometimes I think when we're younger, we think that we're being strong or bold by, as you said, toughing it out, but really we're creating more obstacles for us to have to overcome, unnecessary obstacles.
So true.
You've had such an illustrious performance career, from playing principal oboist in the Florida Philharmonic and the Florida Grand Opera, and recording with Pavarotti, Itzhak Perlman, and so many others. You've got 5 solo CDs, and you've been featured on Grammy-nominated CDs. I was wondering, if you look back on all of those various performance scenarios, was there one that presented more of a reed-making challenge for you than any other one? And if so, how did you overcome that challenge?
The question you just posed is terrific. It boils down to one known fact, which is we really can only use the best reed that we have at the time. So setting up an assembly line, feeding that assembly line and moving it along every day is important. Being prepared in advance is so very important. When you really want to sound good for this or that, or you're in the recording studio doing commercial playing and there's just no time to be switching reeds and fussing like that. You've got to go in and, you're trying to do it on the first take. I have something I call the golden reed case. This requires...
The golden reed case?
Yeah, the golden reed case. What it is plucking some of your very best reeds out of your best reed case while they're still active, when you'd much rather prefer to keep playing on them. These are the reeds that have been recently used and proven in concert, but they have not yet lost their mojo. Mm-hmm. They're your best reeds, and what you have to do is be able to pluck it out and go to another reed, and let that reed join the 7 or 8 other ones that are in the similar situation, and know that they're intended to be brought back into service when you most need them for those most important concerts or events. Because we never seem to have enough time to prepare the best reed for those special events. This can be an idea that can help some people.
How long do you keep reeds in the golden reed case?
I found that you can have a reed, I'll just say indefinitely, that you've pulled out of its service in mid-form and put in that case. And if you don't even touch it for 9 months, you can revive it, and it will serve you.
Wow, I love that. And where did you find a golden reed case?
I used to make reed cases at Nielsen, and they're fundamentally cigarette cases. And I had one along the way where the leather that was on the top just started peeling off, so I removed it and cleaned it off, and it just simply was gold. My band director back at my high school in Chicago, which is where most oboe players start, our love for music. I went to Lane Tech High School in Chicago, and my band director was Maury Golden. And so it seemed to fit, golden reed case, and it kind of puts it up on a pedestal like I put him and my experiences there.
Oh, that's very cool.
At first I thought you were being strictly metaphorical, but I think it's metaphorical and literal with the golden reed case. I think we need a picture of this.
You're right, Courtney.
Well, we'd love to hear all about your new oboe reed-making book.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah. What inspired you to write it?
Through the years, I would do handouts, like I'm sure you have.
Yes.
Handout to the students in reed-making class or in private lessons. Mm-hmm. I would explain various aspects of reed-making by drawing pictures and arrows and measurements and all that. So I developed this reed guide, and, at first I thought, well, there have been so many good reed books that we've enjoyed through the years and such good work done by so many people. It's not meant to supersede them in any way. In fact, I purposely avoided making a book and getting into great detail and a lot of text because I think a lot of books just find their way onto the shelves and start collecting dust. What I did was I purposely made what I call a companion guide. It's small. It's about 5 by 7. It's got a spiral notebook binder. They're waterproof pages. It's only like $20, so anybody can afford it who's starting out. I think there's information in there not only for the beginner, but also for the advanced reed maker. I did my best with photographs and examples I have resources in there that I think are important to our students. I have troubleshooting involved in there, a step-by-step method from blank to crow. I have relative thickness gauge in there so people can see just how thin the edges of the tip should be versus the sides of the heart or the back. And one thing I'm very proud of actually in this guide is I speak to something that I never was spoken to by my teachers, which is knife technique. I think it's something that cannot be highlighted too much, and that's how we actually use our knife to scrape the reed. So it's been fun. It really was. It's being carried by all of our major double reed dealers, Forrest and RDG and Oboe Chicago. And
well, it's a fabulous publication. I love it. And
Yes.
I love that the pages are waterproof.
I know, right?
Fantastic.
It's fast because it's so simple, yet it's packed with information. So it's a really wonderful resource.
Well, thank you so much for the compliment. One of my great teachers, Gladys Elliott from the Lyric Opera in Chicago, she once said, touching another soul may be the most important work we have on this earth. And I was just thinking that if we can accomplish that through your Read Talk program, we can be very grateful to your show and for what you guys are doing, for bringing help and support to our oboe students everywhere. I just want to thank you guys, Margaret, Courtney, for having me as your guest today. And I think what you're doing is terrific.
Well, we are so honored to have you here, and we would like to end with one question from our audience.
Sure.
We received the following question from Lois Tallis, and it involves adjusting reeds. She says that she either purchases professional reeds or tries to make her own. They have good pitch and tone, but are too resistant. Where should she scrape on the reed to not destroy the pitch, the tone, or the entire reed? Right.
So if it's still hard, obviously it wouldn't pass our resistance test that we spoke about today. And it probably, my guess would be that it wouldn't be playing the lower crow because it's just too hard still. So number one, what she needs to address is simply, as I said earlier, take more wood off. Now that she knows that she has to remove more wood, where to remove it. The first thing that we always need to do and constantly need to re-evaluate is putting the plaque in and evaluating the very, very edge, the last half millimeter around the very edge of the tip. From the roof line down on one side, up the side to the corner, across the top to the corner, and back down to the roof line, like a horseshoe. And if we evaluate that very half millimeter to be sure that it is blended or it bevels down into the plaque, that's number one, because it's amazing how if there's too much thickness on that very edge where the very initial vibrations go into the reed, if your edges are too thick, there's a hump, there's a speed bump in the road that simply doesn't let the air start the vibrations in motion. So that's the first place I would look. Second, I think she should evaluate her roof line, which is what I refer to as the area that is the transition between the tip and the heart. And if that transition is too dramatic, or if the heart is too thick at the roof line, I think she would benefit from dusting with her reed knife over the transition between the tip and the heart, just a little bit from left to right, the width of the reed. So then she should test, and maybe it's improved. If she needs to do more, put the plaque back in and dust the rail area in the heart, sticking to the left side and the right side of the heart. If there still is rail left, she can remove much of that rail to the left side and right side, which will allow the heart to springboard a little bit and to be more responsive without taking too much off of the heart. So I would work on the sides of the heart near the rails. And I don't think if the reed is still resistant at this point, if there are rails, frankly, I don't think she needs to keep them. She could actually get rid of them, but I wouldn't push that too much because you don't want someone to dig a hole into the side of the reed. But I would thin out the sides of the heart. At that point, I would retest the reed. Again, if she needs to do more, I would put the plaque back in. I would dust the transition between the heart and the windows. Sometimes people leave a line there that can be too bulky, and that can really stiffen up a reed. So at that rate, as I say in my reed guide, I would take 45-degree angles and do little brush strokes to that horizontal line between the heart and the windows, and I would eliminate some of that thickness. And I think there, too, if she doesn't have enough transparency, I'll call it, in the windows, she could afford to probably take some meat or some wood out of the windows. Between these various steps, working from the very edge of the tip back through the reed, each one of these steps that I've just mentioned, and testing your reed in between by not only doing the resistance test, but crowing and being sure that your opening remains appropriate, I think she'll find satisfaction.
Wow, that's valuable information. I love that.
Well, thank you.
John D., thank you so much for being a guest on Reed Talk today. And thank you to all of our listeners. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss an episode.
We'd love to hear from you. Write to us and send us your burning reed-making queries at reedtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Sending good vibes from our reed desk to yours. I'm Margaret Marco.
And I'm Courtney Miller. Join us next time on Reed Talk.